Welcome to the Impact Show. It is your host, Samuel Ikinwin, here tonight. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. We got so much to talk about because so much has happened in the property world as well as in my own world. I had 2 teeth taken out, which is why we didn't have a live show last week. Now, first and foremost, just before we get started, if you can hear me perfectly, if you can hear me fine, what I would like for you guys to do, I'd be delighted if you can say in the comments, Samuel, we can hear you. Samuel, I can hear you. And side by side with that, if you can see me fine, let me know. Samuel, I can see you. I am looking forward to tonight's show. I'm looking forward to adding value to you in terms of your property journey. And side by side with that, adding value to the community at large. Why? Because of the simple fact that I want to see you move forward, progress, and do better in your property journey. Now, why do I want to help you in terms of your property journey? It is so simple, the answer to that. And the reason why is because I've seen what my property success has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to walk away from the full-time job that I was working. JOB, Robert Kiyosaki, is coined with saying that stands for just over broke. It allowed me to also support my wife to do the exact same thing. And now it's allowed us to homeschool our children and do a whole bunch of other things that we're extremely keen to do and we're grateful to do. And the funniest thing is, this is property. This is what property can do for you. This is how property can help you, how it can change your life, how it can make things better for you, how it can make you the person you want to be and take you to where you want to go. Now, guys, look, I'm talking about property. It's materialism. Okay, it's all materialism, and there's deeper things. There's a spiritual side to life. So there are deeper things, but nonetheless, it does not matter. Even though this is all the natural side, sometimes being more comfortable in your natural elements will help you push forward in those spiritual elements. What do I mean by that? Well, if you wake up on your own terms, doing things on your own terms, that could radically and drastically help you to start to pray more, to start to get into your Bible if the Bible's the thing you're into, and start to be more focused on the things that make you whole in the spiritual side. Now, before we jump into tonight's show, I'm going to speak to you a little bit about what this show's all about. So we generally call this show the Strategy in the Storm show. Okay, so on the Impact Show, we have this Strategy in the Storm session, which we've been running for a number of weeks, usually on a week-by-week basis, in order to help you understand exactly how you can strategize with us as other property strategists and investors, but how you can move forward in your property journey, which is vitally important. Now, why are we doing this? The reason we're doing this is because the moment the pandemic, the scare, the whole, situation was created, what basically happened is I had coaching clients. I've got a myriad of coaching clients from around the country. But what they started doing is they started calling me, Samuel, I need your help. Samuel, what do I do with this? Samuel, what do I do with that? Samuel, I've got tenants who are saying they need to get out of my property. I've got landlords on a rent-to-rent basis who are trying to ask for my property back. I had coaching clients who were new to property saying, Samuel, with the current climate, what do I do? How do I move forward? How do I acquire properties, etc., etc.? So guys, I want to let you know, it was through all of these people reaching out to me in all of these ways, asking for my help, that I said, you know what, to me and my team, look guys, what can we do to help people move forward in their property journey without necessarily creating any drama, without any stress? How can we create a way where we can still deliver that value? And thus the Strategy in the Storm on the Impact Show was born. This show was born out of people's need. So as a direct result, what we're going to do in a moment or two, we're going to open up the phone lines. The moment the phone lines are open, you can call in. If you guys have questions, you can throw them in the comment. But if you want to strategize, if you have a scenario that you want to work with myself on, and you want us to look through that scenario and think to ourselves, okay, how would I solve that? What would I do to go through that? We will be opening the phone lines for you to be able to call in and basically go through with that perfectly. So let me jump into a few of the comments. Samuel, I can see and hear you. Thank you ever so much. M7 Properties, great to have you on. Osa Ikinwin, great to have you on. Yogesh Patel, hello, great to have you on. Yogesh, Osa, sounds and vision is great, perfect, amazing. Samuel, we can see and hear you. Yogesh, telephone dial in today, question mark. 100% yes. So Yogesh, you're totally right. We will be having the telephone lines opening very, very soon to give you guys maximum value. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Okay, I make these shows absolutely free for you guys. Absolutely free. How much? free, okay? My coach calls it the free 99 bunch, okay? The FREE 99 bunch. So because I make these shows absolutely free, I want every single person who's watching this show to do something for me. To say, you know what, Samuel's coming out here, he's giving his time, he's allowing us to engage with him, to get value from him in terms of his experience and his exposure to the property market, his insight, his knowledge. The least I can do for him is hit the like button. So that's what I want to ask for you guys to do for me today. Every single person who's viewing, hit the like button to tell the YouTube world that this is the kind of content that YouTube needs more of. It will encourage me, it will encourage my team, but side by side with that, it will help these videos get more reach to the kind of people like yourselves who need to see this content in order for them to move forward in their property journey. So that's why I want you to hit like. It's not a selfish reason, it's actually a sharing reason. And that's what I'm all about sharing. That's why I'm here, and that's why I am giving this value. Now, Mrs. I Can Win, thank you for being in the comments, moderating and throwing in there. Looking forward to today's session. Well, today is going to be absolutely fantastic. So, without further ado, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the phone lines. Straight after we open up the phone lines, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss something that's been taking place recently, which I think is extremely interesting. Something I think is an extremely interesting thing going on. And you might actually know what it is. So, without further ado, phone lines are open. So as you can see right here, let me use this hand so you can see it properly. We have the dial-in number on the screen, 0330-606-0403, and the access code 695922. Feel free to use the access code and the telephone number, call in. But side by side with that, as you can see, you can subscribe. Let me go that way. You can subscribe and you can like the video, okay? You can subscribe and you can like the video so the YouTube world knows that this is the kind of content you think should be going out to the wider world, and more people should see this content and engage with this content and move forward with this content, which is what we're all about, okay? We're all about helping people move forward in their property journey. Now, we've got the phone lines open right now, but I wanted to discuss something really quickly as we decided to open up the phone lines. As the callers come through, I'll basically route them through. You guys should be able to hear the callers, and as a result, we should be able to have some great time giving some feedback to the people who are going to be calling in today. But what I wanted to say to you guys, I wanted to share something with you guys. I haven't got the article here because there's so many articles about it. And, you know, if you're up to date even a little bit in terms of the property world, you will know about what I'm talking about. Stamp duty holiday, okay? SDH, stamp duty holiday, up to £500,000 worth of holidays on stamp duties all the way up until next year. Can you believe it? Okay, what that basically means in a simple sense is the majority of transactions, okay, the specific wording that was used, and we're going to put out a video on this on YouTube coming up soon, but the specific wording from the MP was basically property transactions up to £500,000 will not have stamp duty charged. So guys, I want you firstly to write that down. We're going to come back to that later on in the show. We've got a caller coming in. So for the first caller, we're going to take this call. But what I want you guys to do is write that down as a heading: stamp duty holiday. Okay, up to £500,000, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And we're going to talk a little bit about why later on. So let's jump into this call. Let's see who's called in, and let's see if we can help them move forward in their property journey as well. So if we can get the caller on. Good stuff. Caller 1762. They are the last 4 digits of the number. Let's see if we can get the caller on now. Hello. Hi, good evening. Guess who it's here? This is Yogesh. Am I correct? Hello, Yogesh. How are you doing? Excellent. Fantastic. Now, we are using a different pair of headphones, so hopefully this doesn't create a problem. Guys, those of you who are watching on YouTube, let us know in the chat if you can hear Yogesh, okay? And Yogesh, you know the drill, so I'm just going to run through it with you very quickly. You're happy for all of the viewers to hear what you may share on YouTube, is that correct? and you're also happy for them to hear whatever I may share with you also, yeah? Excellent. All right, so I'll let the viewers let us know whether they can hear you or not, but I'm sure they can all hear me. So either way, I will repeat the question, and then hopefully we'll be able to help Yogesh strategize through whatever situation he's going through. So Yogesh, take it away. What's your question? Oh, I appreciate you. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yep. Powerful. Powerful. Who's who's on with you? Yeah, I think that is so powerful. So okay, I've got one comment which has basically said they can't hear you, Yogesh. So I'm gonna share everything Yogesh has said so you guys don't miss out. First and foremost, Yogesh said he wants to take some time out and actually thank me personally, and he said it's not just a generic thanks. He wants to say thanks for a specific reason. And I said, okay, what's the reason? And Yogesh basically said, because of the simple fact that I've been running these shows for a number of weeks and he's been able to take full advantage of them. And he went further on to say, because they're also free. So Yogesh, no worries. Just make sure you take full advantage of the value. Yogesh then went on to say, additionally, he wanted to thank me because very recently, I think it was one of our last live streams, Yogesh called in and said he was having some challenges. And when we strategized through, one of the things I was sharing with him is he could tap into and utilize virtual assistants. And as a direct result, what Yogesh basically said is someone who was actually watching the live stream reached out to him, and since then he's actually been utilizing some services which they have been able to help him with and provide him in regards to virtual assistants. So Yogesh, big win for you. That's what we call a win-win in the property world, and I'm very, very happy to hear that you've been able to get that value. So Yogesh, for today's show, what is it that you'd like us to work with you on? Is there a specific thing? You know, I really appreciate the fact that you said, you know what, this is a free opportunity, a free setting. Let me ask you this, Yogesh. Have you pressed like? Okay, good. You've hit like and you've shared, even better. Those of you who haven't shared, Yogesh is leading the way, so feel free to hit share as well. All right, so Yogesh, how can we help you today? What is it that you wanted us to use to strategize with you today? Yep. Yep. Okay. I think that's a fantastic question. So I'm going to share the question with the other viewers just so that they're up to date with what we're actually talking about, and then straight after that I'm going to jump into my views on what you should do in that regard. Okay, I hope that helps. Excellent, excellent. All right, so Yogesh has asked a question, which I think is actually a great question, especially in this current climate with all of the things changing. I mentioned the stamp duty holiday recently as well. Yogesh has basically said he's looking for a specialist property tax advisor. And he's saying, what kind of questions would you ask? What kind of questions do you ask that kind of person in order for you to move forward and start to realize whether they're the right fit for you or not the right fit for you? Is that a good summary of the question, Yogesh? Okay. All right. A great question as well. So Yogesh has also added to that how you might find these people also. So not just how you get a great tax account, a tax specialist, accounts advisor, but also how you might find them and also what kind of questions you'd ask them. All right. So Yogesh, to start with, what I'd say to you is let's start with the easy part. The easy part is finding them. Okay. Now, anyone in the world should know that in this modern day and age, you know, a lot of people see Google as their Bible, if you put it that way. Okay. People just go to Google for the answer to everything. Now, the reason I'm saying that is you can Google by location specialist property tax accountant and start to see who's around. Okay. Now, the issue with that is you will get a generic, let me not even say generic. What you will get is the best marketer coming to you first, if that makes sense. Whoever's the best at marketing as a property tax accountant, that's who will basically come to you first. The reason why is because if you live in an area like Croydon, for example, and I'm a property tax accountant who's based in Croydon and I'm looking for more clients in the Croydon area, then if I've done some good Google AdWords, some good marketing on the internet, then when you search for property tax accountants using keywords, I'll show up. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily advise that as an approach to find these people, but it is an approach. And many people use that approach. It's the whole 119 approach, where you're basically just looking at a directory, and the directory we're talking about here is Google. So I'm not necessarily going to advocate that. What I would advocate is two things. Now, up until earlier on this month, I was a host of a networking event. We'd have over 100 people coming every single month. And I'd advise people to go to networking events. The reason I'd advise people to go to networking events, specifically property networking events, is because at property networking events, you're first and foremost going to meet other property people. And those other property people are going to be able to say to you, this is who I've used as a property tax accountant. Now, I know from working with Simon Zucchi in terms of his training programs, Simon on his programs, one of the great things about Simon is he also gives people a list of his own personal contacts that he uses and contacts he knows are around and active in the area. So I guess in that way, I'm giving you two kind of signposts to places you can go. The first is networking events, property specialist networking events, and the second is training courses. If you go to specific training courses with specific trainers, they will open up their basic black book of contacts. Now, obviously, I do that with my coaching clients. I share with them different people they can utilize to help them move forward as well. So I know about that because it's something I do with the people I coach as well. Now, besides those two places, the third place I'm going to encourage you to go to is to ask other active property people. And if you can, other active property people who are further ahead in their property journey than you are. Now, why would I advise you to go and ask other property people who are further ahead in their journey than you are? Because of a very simple thing. Because of the simple fact that those people would have had, hopefully, more experience than you, probably would have already gone through the teething problems of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 property tax advisors already, and as a direct result they would have kind of landed with someone they're congruent with. Now, one thing I want to say, because I'm speaking to Yogesh, I know with yourself, Yogesh, I've said this to you, for a few of the different times you've called in. Please, 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 whenever you're working with anyone, make sure you're working with someone who you have congruent values, okay? Because that's very important. The reason it's important is they might be able to do the paperwork for you, but if your values are not congruent, that can create a bottleneck in the situation and relationship. So it's the same, guys. This goes to anyone who's on this video, watching this video, for any contact you're having. It doesn't matter if the person's a property tax advisor. It doesn't matter if the person's a broker. It doesn't matter if the person's a property sourcer or an investor who's going to give you money. Guys, I want to encourage you that whatever you're doing, whoever you're working with, try and make sure you have congruent values, okay? I'll give you an example. There's a particular person I'm working with currently. Over the last couple of months, we've got a deadline, July the 22nd, which you should all know is very quickly approaching. This person has been extremely sluggish. This person has not been around. They haven't been following up. They haven't been in touch, okay? So they're actually creating more stress for me than actual peace. And they're supposed to be providing a service for me, which I'm paying for. So I'm sure you can understand, Yogesh, that if you do take on an accountant who doesn't have similar values to you, it's only a matter of time before you end up having more stress than peace in that particular regard, okay? So that's the first thing. Where can you find them? First and foremost, networking events. Second thing, property training courses. Third thing, go and ask more advanced or more experienced investors for their own personal contacts. If they're open to sharing that with you, that would be great. Now, let's go into the main question. What kind of questions do you ask these people? Go for it. Okay, go for it. All right, brilliant. All right, that's a great question. And I think that's even a great question for the viewers as well. So Yogesh has just said, look, before I go on to the next part, could I please break down what I mean by values? What do I actually mean by values? And I think that's a great question to ask. So I'm going to elaborate on that. When I'm talking about values, I'm talking about what are your central tenets for life, okay? What are your central tenets for life? What are the central things? What's the central framework you generally rely on and stand on? And guys, look, please understand this. I'm not talking about religion, Okay, not talking about religion. I'm talking about principles. I'm talking about, theologies, philosophies, like how you think about life. So I'll give you an example. This particular service provider I mentioned a moment ago, where we have a deadline coming up on the 22nd of July, I'm a big person who likes to be informed. I actually like to be over-informed. It's crazy. But, the team I work with, they understand how I operate. So I'll give you an even clearer example, because I really want people to get this. When a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, I went to have my 2 teeth taken out. I had 2 teeth extracted on the same day. I said to the dentist before she started, I said, can you please talk me through everything you're doing whilst you're doing it, and as much as you can just before you do it, because I'm the kind of person who wants to be aware of what's going on. It's just how I am. It's one of my values to have as much information as possible and make decisions based on that information. So because that's one of my core values, I share that with my dentist. Why am I sharing it with the dentist? Because for the dentist to get the most success with me as a client, the dentist would do well to understand my temperament. Now, the reason I shared it with the dentist is because I noticed that when the dentist started the process of, applying anesthetic, a local anesthetic, and starting to numb my lip, the dentist was not saying anything. And to me, it's like, look, you're poking me with needles in my mouth. You need to say something, Hey, Mr. Kimwin, I'm just about to apply this anesthetic. I'm going to do it right here on your left jaw. You might feel a slight pinch. All I want you to do is just embrace it, or whatever. The point I'm making is, and Yogesh, again, many of the people viewing might not know this, but Yogesh is a doctor. So Yogesh, hopefully you understand a bit more, implicitly what I'm talking about as I break this down. But when I'm talking about values, that's what I'm talking about. What are your central tenets? Are you the kind of person who likes to have more than enough information? If you are, then when you're finding this property tax as advisor, you want to find out, are they the kind of person who gives me an overflow of information even though I don't need it all? Okay? Or are they the kind of person who thinks, I'm the tax guy, I know everything about tax, Yogesh doesn't need to know anything about tax, so I'm not even going to talk to Yogesh about it, even though it concerns him. Does that make sense? Yeah, so these are the kind of things I'm talking about when I'm talking about values. For example, deadlines. Like I mentioned, with the particular service provider that I was talking about earlier, we've got a deadline coming up on the 22nd of July. I'm the kind of person who wants to, hit targets before our deadlines. So because of that, it's no good to me on the 18th of July not really knowing where we're at with a project, when I know in 3 or 4 days, we need to deliver that project. I need to know everything about that, and I needed to know it 2 weeks ago, okay? And I don't want to chase you up if you are a service provider in this area for that information. I want you telling me about the information. So the point I'm giving you is I'm giving you what we call a non-example in teaching. I'm giving you an example which is a bad example of what you really want to do. You don't want to start working with someone where you see, you know what, this guy doesn't give me enough information, but I'm the kind of person who needs the information. If we had a deadline coming up, this is the kind of person I'd be actually quite upset with, even though they might be happy to just take your money and say, oh, by the 22nd, it will be done, for example. So it's all about values. It's all about, how do you operate with deadlines? How do you think about things? Do you, are you client centric, or are you cash centric, if I put it that way? Because there are many people out there who just want your money. There's property tax advisors who just want your money, Yogesh. There's property tax advisors who just want to take your cash and deliver the job, but they don't want to build a relationship. Okay, and I'm not like that. I'm very customer centric. This is why we do stuff like this. We're out here because there are people out here, human beings out here, customers, clients, who need information that I have. So let's create a platform to give it to them, because they come first. It's not about, oh, we're going to make money, or the YouTube's free, you're not making any money, don't do it. Like, I don't think like that. I think, well, what information do people need? How can I give it to them? What's the easiest way where it's not a burden to me? Okay, let's deliver it to them. And if some of those people are wise enough to realize, well, hold on a minute, if I had Samuel on the phone twice a month, if I had Samuel connected with me through a walkie-talkie or whatever else it is, that would be invaluable. Okay, what's Samuel offering? Oh, he's got a coaching program, 6 month long, 12 month long, whatever it is, I'm jumping on. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right, cool. So that's the values part out of the way. and that's where to find the service providers or these particular service providers out of the way. So let's move into the heart of the question. So the heart of the question that Yogesh asked was effectively, what kind of things do you ask these people in order to find out if they're the right people for you? Okay, so I'm gonna start from here, and this is a question that most of you probably would never have thought that I'd ever think about to ask. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be very, very transparent. This is exactly where I would ask this. And look, just so you know, Yogesh, we've got a comment here. It says, thanks for asking this, Yogesh. Okay, so people are interested in exactly what you're asking about, Yogesh, and that's just to let you know from the YouTube comments. Now, guys, I know you currently can't hear Yogesh. We're using new headphones. We're actually in a completely new studio. So because of that, I'm just letting you know what Yogesh has said. So I do apologize for this live stream. But side by side with that, like I said before, hit like, guys. If you're getting value, if this is the kind of content you want and you think the world needs, you know, just hit like on the video. Side by side with that, do what Yogesh did. Share the content. Hit the share button. There's a share button on YouTube. Click share. Let the people who you know in the YouTube world know that there's some great content going on right now. And side by side with all of that, why don't you subscribe to the channel? We recently hit 200 subscribers. I was elated. I usually do a video when we hit a milestone. Unfortunately, having the tooth out, I wasn't able to do so, but I will be putting a video out to say thank you for 200 human beings who have decided to say we want to subscribe to the channel. So thank you for that. We are on the road to 1,000. So if you want to be a part of that, hit subscribe and jump on. Now, back to Yogesh's meaty question. So the heart of Yogesh's question was, what kind of questions do I ask specifically a property tax accountant or a property tax advisor in order to find out if they're the right fit for me, if they can do the job, if they can get it done? Now, here's where we start. Okay, a question you would probably never think I would ask, but it's the first question I would ask. And that question is, do you invest in property yourself? Okay, if you're watching this video and you're interested in the question Yogesh has just asked, that should go from your pen onto your pad. That's question number one. Do you invest in property yourself? Okay, and obviously most of you will know there are a myriad of questions that follow on from that, such as, how long have you been invested in property? What type of property do you invest in? Is it commercial property or residential property? Do you do large-scale development, or are you only doing buy-to-lets? Like, what kind of strategies are you employing? Now, the reason it's important to ask these kind of questions, I'm sure most of you, again, because I know some of you in the comments are property people already, most of you will start to understand exactly why I'd ask that question and exactly why I would dig into the follow-up questions. And the reason is very simple, because if they're not active in property themselves, as the banks or lenders usually say, they have no skin in the game. And what do I mean by they have no skin in the game? Well, if they're not actively investing, they have no reason to want to stay up to date with all of the latest legislation as it pertains to property specifically. They have no reason to want to know what are the actual loopholes, if I use that terminology generally, guys. All right, we're not promoting anything illegal, but we are promoting things that may be advanced. Okay, so write that down. It's not about being illegal, it's about being advanced. Okay, so the reality is some property tax advisors, they are at the cutting edge of what's going on. So what I mean by that is when it's announced that, oh, there's a stamp duty holiday, they're looking at things and saying, well, how can I use this to my advantage? How can I use this to my client's advantage? Because they're actually active in the property market themselves. Now, some property tax advisors are doing nothing to do with property. They haven't even got one buy-to-let. So if they're doing nothing in the property space, they've got no buy-to-let property, they win nothing from staying at the top of their field, and they lose nothing from staying at the top of their field. All they do is seek to acquire more clients. Okay, and again, this comes back to, are they customer centric or cash centric? So these are things to think about. All right, so again, guys, hit like if you're getting value from the content. But to answer your question, Yogesh, I would start around their property experience, their actual property experience themselves. I'd be asking them the question, do you actually invest in property yourself? What kind of property do you invest in, etc., etc. Now, what most of you will realize is if you're looking for a property tax advisor and you're starting off with that question, what you're actually doing is you're starting to build a relationship. You're starting to build rapport. Why? Because you're asking about things outside of the remit of the work you're looking for. So that's the first thing. Okay. Now, secondarily, after asking a few questions about their property experience, I would then ask about, this is a big word, but just write the word down, views. Okay. VIE VWS. And Yogesh, I think for you, this is very, very important, because when you start asking, service providers about their views, you do two things. The first thing you do is you start to open up the opportunity to assess their values based on what we were talking about earlier. Does that make sense? Views on specific tax issues. So Yogesh has asked the question, views on what specifically? And yeah, Yogesh, views on specific tax situations. So for example, I could say, what are your views on having offshore accounts in order to, act as a hedge against, excessive tax on an annual basis? Okay, so, for some of you who are just beginning in property, that question might have been a bit like, like Samuel just asked a fully loaded question. I get it. But the point I'm making is, for most of you who are active in property, you'll understand exactly what I just asked. Okay, and it's a generic question. It's not saying, oh, I'm going to use offshore accounts in order to do anything, but I'm asking because I want to know their views. I want to know their views so A, I can understand, are they actually learned in this field? But secondarily to understanding their own level of education, I also actually want to understand, what's your temperament about this? What's your thoughts about this? Are you a tax avoidance or a tax evasion person? And all of these things will help me start to build a mental repertoire of who I'm actually dealing with. Am I dealing with someone who has the same values as me? So this is what I'm saying. The key to, a powerful thing about asking about someone's views on the certain different tax aspects is, first and foremost, it starts to give you insight into their values. But secondarily, it starts to give you insight into their actual level of learnedness in the field. Does that make sense? Excellent. So Yogesh said yes, but go on, elaborate. That's cool. Yep. Powerful. So you bang, you just put the nail in the head. So that's perfect. So Yogesh has just said, okay guys, just to keep you updated, Yogesh has just said he thinks for him, and he says he's maybe even recognizing this as one of his values, he feels as though for him the most important thing is, if HMRC started to ask questions about his portfolio or about his income, about his revenues, he just wants to know that that specific property tax advisor or accountant will fight tooth and nail to make sure that they provide the evidence or whatever they need to do to vindicate and to support Yogesh through that situation. Is that a great way of summarizing what you said, Yogesh? Excellent. So I think you're totally right, Yogesh. If you are at that stage, which you clearly are, where you can summarize what your kind of real core value is or real core desire or need is from that particular service provider, then that's the need you want to convert into a series of questions to ask the particular person. So you might want to ask the prospective tax advisor, have you had any clients recently where HMRC have basically started to question what's going on with their financial situation, and how did that turn out? Does that make sense? Yeah, because that would start to give you an illusion to whether they really fought for that individual, or whether it was, oh yeah, that's a typical thing. We always have HMRC look at, 20% of our caseload. And when they look at 20% of our caseload, generally, everything works out fine. Okay, what do you guys do to ensure that everything works out fine? And that's when you can start to dig deeper into the conversation around what you are looking for specifically. So I guess what I would say to you is, take that essential need that you have and start to break that down into a series of questions which you can ask all of the prospective property tax advisors, and start to get from them a feel of what they're going to actually do, or what they've done in the past. Again, experience is a great teacher, but what they've done in the past in order to inform, such activities such as HMRC coming out or HMRC asking questions about someone, and what they basically do to support. So does that help, Yogesh? Yeah? Amazing. Hmm. Cool. All right. That's a great question. So Yogesh has asked another question, which I'll go on to before we come up, before we wrap up. So first and foremost, in summary, Yogesh was saying that, you know, everything that I've shared has been really helpful for him, and he feels as though specifically, you know, breaking down questions around his values is gonna be really, really of value to him in order to go forward with what we're talking about. But then he went on to ask another question and say, do I have any tips on how people can get closer to what their real values are? Do I have any tips about how someone can start to discover their values a little bit more? And, you know, Yogesh, I'd say this to you. It's not a simple, let me use the other term. It's not an easy approach, but it is a simple approach. I guess one of the things you have to start asking yourself, and I say this to myself all the time, Samuel, ask yourself the hard questions. One of the things you're going to have to do is ask yourself some hard questions, okay? If all of your property were taken from you, okay, and you had to start all over again, what would you do? Like, that's a question that will help you start to scratch beneath the surface of where you're at right now and who you really are as a human being. Okay, so if I didn't have all of these properties, if I didn't have this portfolio, if I wasn't interested in property, if I was destitute, if I was on an island, all of these hard questions, and I was just with 2 or 3 other people, what would be important to me? Okay, if I was with 5 people and I had to summarize my life in 5 words, how would I be able to do that? Okay, there's an activity that we used to do. I used to do this with children when I used to work in schools as an A-level maths teacher, when I used to work as a full-time employee. And I used to do this activity called My Life in Numbers. And what we would do is we'd tell the children, you've got this amount of numbers. Let's say that they've got 3, okay? And what they have to do with those 3 numbers is tell us about their whole life using only 3 numbers. Okay, so because the number I would cap it at, let's say, was 3, I'll give you an example so those of you watching who have never heard of this before can start to get an idea of this. You might say, well, my 3 numbers are 11, 15, 1 million. Okay, and then you have to tell a story using those 3 numbers. So what's the story using those 3 numbers? Well, the story might be, at the age of 11, my mum came home and shared with me that she had been made redundant. And when she shared with me that she had been made redundant, I was 11 years old. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't help her. I couldn't go and get a job. I didn't understand how to change things. With no income, she needed to downsize her house. So she had actually worked for a bank for 15 years. Okay, so that's my second number, 11, 15. And because she had worked for this bank for 15 years, we had a high dependency, or she had a high dependency on the income from that bank. Now, when they've made her redundant, I'm 11 years old. There's nothing I can do. So I said to myself, if I can spend the rest of my life helping other people, similar to my mum, who have the same situation where they rely on something, they rely on someone, and that rug is pulled from under their feet, and now they're in need, I can guarantee that I'll make £1 million. I can guarantee I'll make £1 million. Why will I make £1 million? Because if you help enough people, this is a Zig Ziglar quote, and Jim Rohn used to say a similar thing. If you help enough people get what they need in their life, you will always have everything you want in your own life. Okay, the way that Zig Ziglar says it is, service to many leads to greatness. So the reason I'm sharing this with you, Yogesh, is for me, activities like My Life in Numbers, activities like asking yourself the hard questions, these kind of things help you start to understand what your values are. So my value, I spoke about it earlier on, one of them is sharing and service. Why is sharing and service so important to me? It's important to me because at 11 years old, I saw my mum receive a disservice from someone she had served for 15 years, an organization she served for 15 years. So one of the things I've learned as I've matured and become an adult is that sharing for free, like we're doing on this YouTube video, is one of the most powerful ways to serve people. So sharing and service for me go hand in hand, and this is why I like sharing. This is why I go across the country when I'm invited to different events and I speak about property and how you can use property to change your financial situation, etc., because I see the value in sharing and service. Now, they're not my only values, but they're some of my core values. So I share that with you so you can have an idea of how you can start to dig beneath and start to find some of your values. So I hope that helps you as well, Yogesh, yeah? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Yogesh said it sounds like something he needs to do some deep thinking about. And as I said, that's what it takes. All right, Yogesh, it's been fantastic having you on. Thank you for calling. Thank you for supporting what we're doing. Thank you for the like, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing forward with your property journey. We're looking forward to you having even more success in your property journey. All right, Yogesh, so we'll catch up soon. Excellent. Most welcome, Yogesh. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so that was Yogesh. Thank you for calling in, Yogesh. Absolutely fantastic to have you calling in and asking some great questions where, as mentioned, you know, we had people commenting basically saying thank you, Yogesh, for asking this question. So again, absolutely fantastic question and great to have you on again on the show, Yogesh. Now, guys, we want to quickly talk about the stamp duty scenario so people will know a bit more, be able to think a bit more about what's happening in the stamp duty world. And we might not have enough time on this show to talk about maybe possible routes, possible strategies that people might want to utilize in order to move forward. But nonetheless, if you're interested in that, feel free to engage with us. Now, one of the things you can do, you can go on our on-demand webinar, which is coming up on Monday, okay? And on that webinar, we're going to be talking about how you could take advantage in this current climate. And that's going to be absolutely amazing for many of you who haven't heard kind of some of the strategies I've been speaking about, some of the things I've been sharing with the community about using to move forward in their property journey. So stamp duty, okay? And just before I jump back into that, if you haven't already, hit the like button. Let YouTube know that you like this content. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can be kept up to date with every single time we drop one of our videos, and every single time you will get notified if you hit the bell when we are actually gonna go live as well. So stamp duty. Recently, okay, it's roughly about a week and a half ago now, it has been announced that stamp duty is going to receive a holiday all the way up to £500,000. And I've had so many people reaching out, oh, look, is this stamp duty holiday the new craze? Da, 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 da. Now, look, guys, I want to just share this with you. Like I said, we're going to put together a video about stamp duty. We'll release that. It will really have a lot of my insider views on what's going on with the stamp duty world. But I just want to share this with you as an insight for those of you who've come on the live and, you know, shown us, you know, your appreciation by being a part of our live video. I want to share this with you. The stamp duty holiday has been implemented to do one thing, okay? Now, I'm not saying it's the only thing it's going to do. I'm not saying it's advantageous or disadvantageous to us as property investors. But what I am saying is it has a clear purpose. And purpose is always powerful, okay? Purpose is always powerful, all right? So this is one thing you always have to keep your eye on. What is the purpose of this thing? Okay, what is the purpose? And the moment you get away from purpose, the moment you get into abuse or misuse. Okay, now what do I mean by that? I'm going to break this down just so you have a simple understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, this here is a lens. Okay, just for you to understand, this is a lens. Okay, it goes on a camera and it has a specific purpose. The moment I stop using this for its specific purpose, the moment I start thinking this would be a great coaster from my cup, I could take my tea and put it on top. The moment I start getting away from the purpose of this lens is the moment I start getting into abuse of this lens or misuse of this lens. I hope you understand that, okay? And that's the same with anything in life, okay? It's the same with clothes. It's the same with property opportunities. It's the same with properties. If somebody gives you a property on a rent-to-rent basis for you to rent out and make a margin, and you do not understand the purpose of why the property has been given to you, it is inevitable that you will either abuse that opportunity, that property opportunity, or misuse that property opportunity, okay? These are principles, okay? These are lifelong principles. So the reason I teach in principles is because I know principles work in every single field you go into of business, but side by side with that, principles never fail. Just like gravity, if you jump off the building and the building's high enough, we're gonna hear splat. It's just the way it works because there's a law, there's a principle of gravity, okay? So principles are how I teach. That's how I get through. That's how I've had all my success, because I've always focused on principles. Now, why is it important to think about what I've shared here about this being a lens and this having a purpose? And if the purpose is forgotten or not utilized, we get into abuse or misuse. The reason this is important is because there is a purpose for this stamp duty holiday, and the primary purpose is to stimulate financial exchange growth in the UK economy. Please understand that, okay? The purpose behind the stamp duty holiday is to stimulate economic engagement, economic activity in the UK. Now, why is this important? It's important for two things. One, I'm going to be cheeky, and two, I'm going to be extremely factual. The first reason it's important is because I told you guys months ago when we did our third or fourth live stream impact show for the strategy in the storm. I told you guys months ago that on March the 22nd, there was an economic breakdown in the US and in the UK. I said that on this show months ago. Now, why is that important? The reason it's important is because that is directly correlated. It's directly connected to the stamp duty holiday. Why is the purpose of the stamp duty holiday? To stimulate the economy in the UK, because the economy in the UK is having a drama right now, okay? And any of you who do any research into the finances or the background of financial institutions, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't done such research, it's fine. Go and look out for the information and you will find March the 22nd, a whole world of financial issues was taking place for the UK and for the US. Now, as a result, everybody in the country, most people, let me say that, most people in the country have been distracted, okay? And I will use that term because I think that's the accurate term. Most people in the UK have been distracted by a particular said virus and a particular sequence of lockdown activity. And because most people have been distracted by these two things, not saying that they're not important, guys, this is not what I'm saying. But the point I'm making is because that's taken up most people's attention, because that's taken up most people's focus, what most people have done as a direct result have failed to take full opportunity of the property opportunities in front of us. And as a result of that, the MPs are saying, well, how can we force them, close to force them, but how can we stimulate the financial economy of the UK again? And what they're doing is they're going for the highest order of economic, assets, and that is property. Okay, properties range from millions of pounds to hundreds of thousands of pounds to thousands of pounds. So they know that if they stimulate that economy enough, if they stimulate the property market enough, they are trickle effect stimulating the rest of the economy enough. Okay, so that is the purpose of the stamp duty holiday, and that's really what I want to leave you guys with today as a kind of insight. What is the purpose of the stamp duty holiday? It's to stimulate the economy. Now, if you understand that, you can start to do what I do, which is take advantage of the opportunity because you understand its purpose. And when you understand something's purpose, you can utilize it appropriately. Just like the example I was giving you guys about the lens. When you understand something's purpose, you can utilize it 100% appropriately. Now, for those of you who are brand new to the Impact Show, for those of you who have never even met me before or seen me before, who have never heard of Samuel Samuel I Can Win before on any social media platform, etc., I want to encourage you to go and get, I'm pointing the wrong way, go and get this resource, our free resource. It's the Sourcing Blueprint. This is a free ebook, okay? And this ebook breaks down for you for free the central tenets of how you can start to find, secure, and profit from property opportunities. Now, why am I inviting you to go and get the Sourcing Blueprint ebook? There's a simple reason. Because right now, most people in the country who have a slight interest in property are going to be looking for properties, specifically even because of the simple fact that there's now this stamp duty holiday. So now is probably one of the most ripest and opportune times for people like yourself, people like myself, to take full advantage of this particular strategy, which is known as property sourcing, a strategy that I specialize in, and I really get a delight out of supporting people in the property community to move forward with this particular strategy. So I want to encourage you to go and do that. Go and get this free ebook. It's absolutely free. You will pay nothing for the ebook. All you need to do is go to the link that's down there, www.impactproperties, that's IMPACT properties, TIES properties.co.uk/sourcing blueprint. Go get your free ebook, okay? When you get that ebook, read through the ebook. It's a short read, okay? Read through that ebook, and when you get some value out of that ebook, let us know, okay? Whether it's on this YouTube video through means of the comments, whether it's reaching out to me or our team on social media or wherever else, emailing us, let us know that you got value from the ebook. Why? Why do we want you to get that ebook? Because now is the time. People don't realize how important this current climate is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump quickly into the comments and then after I jump into the comments to see if there's any specific questions I might have missed, etc., we are going to be wrapping up for tonight's show. So, excellent. Thank you, sir, for another awakening session. Most welcome. All right, we have got so many comments in the chat, guys. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, thank you for your feedback. Telephone dialing today, yes. Looking forward to today's session. Excellent. Okay, so the team's put in here, no hearing the caller's audio today. Okay, value, excellent. Again, guys, if you're getting value, feel free to write value. Feel free to hit the like. Feel free to hit the like button so that the YouTube world knows that this is of value. Thank you, Samuel. Most welcome, guys. You are welcome. Sounds from the questions, please. Okay, as of our next live stream, I do apologize, guys. As of our next live stream, we will make sure that we have sound for you again of the callers. I do apologize. It's a small technical hiccup. Just because we weren't prepared. We are using new headphones. We're in a new environment. That's the reason why. Sounds from the questions, please. Thanks for asking this, Yogesh. And also, Yogesh has said here, amazing question or statement. Yogesh has said, I would like to know more about stamp duty strategies you mentioned, Samuel, please. All right. Now, I'm going to say this for you. All right. I'm going to say this for you guys. If we can get this video to 20 likes, okay, I'm going to put it out there. I'm putting it on you guys. You guys are putting it on me. I'm putting it on you. If we get this video to 20 likes, okay, and that's not far, but if we get this video to 20 likes, a real small target, but if we get this video to 20 likes, 20 people watch this video and hit like once, I will actually run a webinar sharing with you guys some of the strategies that I'm going to use to take advantage of this current stamp duty climate, the current stamp duty change. Now, if you haven't got value from this video, I don't know what you was watching. This live stream was created for you, and what I want to encourage you to do is go and, wrong way again, go and watch this video next, okay, which is a video about what comes first. Is it deals or investors? And side by side with that, go and watch some of our old live stream videos where we can also share with you on that, you know, the live questions from callers and also how we strategized in the storm. This is Samuel I Can Win. It's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on throughout tonight's show, and I'm looking forward to working with many of you. Feel free to reach out to us, www.impactproperties.co.uk. You can email us at info@impactproperties.co.uk. I'm out. It's been a pleasure. Love to you all. Happy investing and move forward in your property journey. We're here to help. Mwah.